So if you clicked on this video, you've probably gone through a different array of watches such as like Fitbit or Apple, and you decide to upgrade to a Garmin watch. So congrats to you, you made the right decision. And if this is your first time ever getting a smartwatch and you decide to go with Garmin, congrats to you because you made the right decision the first time. So now that you upgraded to this watch and you decide to download their app called Garmin Connect, there's probably dozens of different things, tons of different metrics that you don't even know where to start. And that is exactly what this video is for. So in today's video, we're going to go into everything such as the metrics that are important and the things that you should track so you can optimize your running journey. So let's get right into this. If you guys don't know me, my name is Dalton. I'm a runner and strength trainer, and I basically love Garmin products and want to help you guys out in using them because they can get complicated at times. So I just want to clear things up for you guys. As a note, everything that I'll be talking about right now on the app, you can also use it on a computer or a laptop as well, so you can get that data in case if you really wanted to use it on your laptop for some reason, but it is available there too. One more thing to say is that I also plan on doing this video in terms of categories rather than specific parts of Garmin, so it makes it more understandable for you guys. But to start off, we're gonna go into the My Day tab. So right now I got the My Day tab open right here so you guys can visually see what I'm talking about. And we're just gonna go through each piece individually right now, so it makes a little more sense. So on the start, you see like my strength time because I decided to do some weight training today. And then it will also show my training status as of right now. This is mainly for runners because, as you know, Garmin is for runners. Obviously, some stuff will change over time for you as well as for me. For example, I had an ankle injury, so I can only really do strength training right now. So a lot of things might be a little off on personally for me. But you're able to see a lot of different parts on this just in the start. You can see your training status, as well as heart rate, body battery, stress, intensity minutes, steps, bunches and bunches of different stuff. You're also gonna see what you did yesterday, as well as what you've done in the past 7 days. So as an example, let's say like you wanna figure out, okay, this is how many workouts I did last week. You can simply go to your last 7 days and it will give you an average of everything that you've done throughout that time. So I did 4 workouts at the gym. So it will tell me, okay, strength, this is how long I've been at the gym. Here's my total time. Here's the average working time I had. So 51 minutes and 49 seconds. And then I can also change it by the days. So I don't just need 7. I could also do 4 weeks if I wanted to, and then as well as a year. So it really gives me a whole metric of, okay, wow, this is really how much I'm doing throughout my life. It's just like a helpful data tool for you to really see what you've been doing throughout the past year. And you can do this with all the other ones, such as your walks, your heart rate, stress levels. And this also caters to what you put as the data on the top because it reflects that. So going a little bit back here, we're gonna have training status. And training status, it will tell you your load focus, as well as what Garmin thinks you should do for your workout. So if you're doing, let's say like a ton of HIIT cardio and like a lot of tempo runs, it's gonna say, okay, that's good, but maybe you wanna do something even more high intensity like anaerobic training, or another thing such as like, oh, you just need to run, like be in your zone 2, meaning just go a little easy, don't rush yourself. On here, it will also give you metrics on other parts such as your VO2 max. And for your VO2 max, it will also help you out and give you a little help section of each part. So as it says, it'll say like, all right, this is the indication of your cardiovascular fitness. So like how well you can go without passing out in a nutshell. And then it will give you like different metrics of saying, okay, here's what you'll think is good. Here's what we think is amazing. Here's what we think is absolute crap. So it'll give you different parts of what you have. So that is very essential if you're trying to run faster and longer. I've been using this personally when I start doing a lot of different types of runs. So for example, I'm training for the LA Marathon right now, after my recovery, of course, but that is an essential part for this. And then on top of that, it will also give you HRV status. So HRV is just, according to Garmin, like the recovery or just the stress that you're putting on your body. So for the bottom part right here, you'll be able to see like overnight average. So that's the average amount that you sleep. And then for the highest 5 minute, that is going throughout the entire time you've been sleeping, what's the 5 minutes that really peaked the most? So on here, for example, last night when I slept and woke up, it will say, okay, so the highest was like 180, and then it will go further down. And normally at this time when it goes down, that might be when you wake up, just from what I've seen personally. But normally once you go back to bed, it starts, catering out a little bit. And then most of these metrics, you can do it by 7 days. So you can see the average of how well you've been recovering or your stress on your body. And you can also go to 4 weeks as well. And then it will tell you each of these pieces, like the lowest and the highest over time. So like it'll give you overnight averages if you want to. And yeah, that's just a really helpful part for this app. And then the next thing it has is the load. So on this, as you can tell, I need to have a bigger load, not like that in running. So it will tell you, as I mentioned, what it recommends you should do for your workouts. So that is very helpful, as Garmin, depending on your watch, has a training buddy. You could say a training buddy, but it has like a coach that will tell you, hey, this is what we recommend that you do for this workout. So it all syncs together in what Garmin's trying to offer you. There's also parts such as like exercise load, and this is a little more in detail of each part for your workouts. And as you could tell, for me, even though the load is pretty low on some of these parts, it's because of strength training, it's going off heart rate. So your effort on, let's say, a strength training session or even a yoga session or any other session actually might appear low on this, but if you're a runner, it's going to appear way higher, because Garmin prioritizes all of these in the same spectrum. It's not just going to be one part for strength training, one part for, let's say, tennis or soccer. It's going to go all into one single graph. So that's why it might look a little bit skewed here. So then you also got your training load, and then this is what you'll also see on your watch throughout like the couple of days. Normally on the watch it'll say like 7 days, but on here it'll say 4 weeks, which I honestly like it as a longer one because you have more data. So it, obviously right now my load has gone pretty low, so I need to upgrade on that a little bit. But that is basically the essentials of just the training status. All right, so next up we got the heart rate, and as you can see, I am dying because I have no pulse apparently, even though it is on my wrist right now, and I don't know why that's happening. Sometimes it might be a glitch, but also I got a used watch, so that could be the reason. But on here, it would normally show me my resting heart rate at this time, and it will give me the highest point throughout the day. So if I click on this, it'll give me the average as usual of 1 day, and then 7 days, 4 weeks, and then a year. It's really extensive on that, and then it will give me the lowest and the highs of each day or each week or each month, however you filter this out. On top of that, Garmin will actually auto recognize certain features. So let's say if I'm going on a walk, then it will show, okay, we think that this person's going on a walk, so we're gonna say this is what happened at this time. So as you can see, there's little dots right here of me walking and the me strength training for today. So that is what it will normally do. It will auto recognize it. And then you can also choose to delete these if you want to, because let's say if it's not accurate, and for personal example, it said that I did something like swimming one time and I was just walking or warming up, and I was like, no, I'm not swimming. So you can just delete it if Garmin got it wrong and you just want to update it. So that is the heart rate. Next up, we have body battery, and body battery is your overall energy throughout the day. So if you had a good recovery, it will tell you, hey, this is the certain amount, and it goes all the way up to 100. Then after that, it starts chipping away down, day by day. And this has a lot of factors to it, such as like whether you work out, your stress levels, your overall activity levels throughout the day. So it really changes over time. So on this, as you guys see, my charged was 47, and then my drained was 56. So the charge means throughout the day I slept, I recharged and got like level up points, or however you want to call it, health points by 47, and then now it's down to 56. So this, as you can see, it also factors in the day. So my walks have slightly lowered it, and same thing with my strength training. And then this could also be factoring on when you're waking up. So if you see that little clock, that means the time I woke up and actually started moving. So that is one part right there. And then you can also take certain parts off. So I can get rid of the actual body battery if I wanted to. Don't know why you want to do that. They have, you can get rid of the rest, you can get rid of the stress. So you can kind of get a general idea of what could be there or something you could work on. And as always, it's got the 7 days. Hey, here's your highest amount and the lowest amount. So you can kind of make guesses of what's been happening. And this can also tie into other things that we'll get into, like HRV. And next up, we got the stress levels. So on the stress levels, it's obviously, as we know, it's going to go through each day, week, month, yada, yada. Don't need to keep telling you guys that, but it'll just keep giving you different times throughout the duration that you want. And for me, I'm generally pretty low because I'm just chill like that. But on here, it's going to show up like, okay, here's the duration of your rest, you being low, like low stress, medium stress, and then high stress. And the way how they do this is by a multitude of factors. They do it by your activity levels, they do it by your heart rate, and then also like by your HRV, which is your heart rate variability. We'll get into later for this. And then you can also see on the daily timeline on the bottom how that factors in. So that's how come it's able to calculate your stress. And it does a decent job, I would say. I would say that this is an accurate number. Might be a little bit lower, but honestly, it depends on like your everyday activities, and you have to be the best judge of that. Next up, we got the intensity minutes. So intensity minutes is every single time when you do an activity, it will start calculating, okay, this is how much they are doing in terms of working out. So it's just workout time. And they'll have like, okay, here's your vigorous time, your moderate time, your total time. And obviously they're going to give you recommendations based off your goals and other factors. And like right now, it was saying, okay, to reach your goal, you need this many minutes for moderate or vigorous exercise throughout the week. You can make your own judge off that. For example, if you're injured, Garmin isn't really going to consider that. Like, for example, what I'm having right now. So you kind of got to really use your own judgment of what is the best. So that is why it's important to, always take these things with a grain of salt. But as you see, it tells you the 4 weeks, and then it's going to give you the time of each day to see like, okay, this is what you did on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever other days. And then it'll give you average of the year of did you hit that week of your actual time. So as you could tell, I have done the weeks decently well. So that's normally what it goes into. And then next up, we got steps, pretty self-explanatory. You can have your steps, and Garmin will do an auto factor of, okay, this is how many steps we think you'll do throughout this day based off previous data. So the more you give it, the better idea we'll have throughout certain days or throughout current activity levels. And you can also choose to manually set the goal. So I could take that off and then I could set up that number, but I want to keep it because personally I don't care too much for steps. But if you really want to, go at it. It's all for you. And then obviously it gives you that timeline of, okay, it's how long it's going. Yeah, that's basically it. Same thing with floors. It'll have the same thing, how many floors you're going up, same time. It gets a little repetitive after a while. But the interesting thing is that Garmin will do its best to track your calories and how much you burn throughout the day. So as you can see throughout the workouts, for if I put on a Garmin watch and I'm doing strength training, it will put that, or if I'm going on a zone 2 run or go on an easy run, it will track that as well. And then it will say, okay, this is your total calories. Here's how much we think you are from resting and how much we think you burned, which honestly I would say is okay. It's decently accurate on some days. It's not as much as others, but that's just with all the active like smartwatches. It's you can't rely on it too much. Then after that, you got your sleep score, which is just obviously it's going to tell you same thing of the duration, and it's going to say, okay, here's the good quality, here's your duration, and then it's going to give me the sleep factors throughout the different times. So like it's going to go into, okay, what about like the stress average for your sleep? So it ties in the stress previously to factor in this is how you're doing. And then it's going to go into deep sleep, light sleep, REM sleep, awake, restlessness, and they'll tell you each stage in a nice dashboard right here. And then it'll go into other things such as like your respiration, your overall HRV, how it tied into, how stressed were you in these moments. And then you can also add notes if you really want to. But I personally don't use that because I don't need to. So the last thing is that you got your respiration, which is just, you breathing per minute. And this also factors in throughout the day. So that's just a part right there. Then they also got yesterday's metrics and then the last 7 days. So if you want to make a comparison like that, if you don't want to do it like one by one, you can just do it there. And then you can also collapse the entire thing at the top. So at the top right, just click collapse. And then it's going to basically make everything that we just saw that's individual into one single part. And as you can see, it still has yesterday and then the last 7 days. So that's mainly the part for the My Day tab. But now when you go down, you can also edit your day. So I can take off some of these things. Let's say I don't want pulse ox. I just remove that and hide it and then hit save. And then it won't show up anymore on here. This is if really what matters to you. So this is what Garmin does well. You can personalize what you want. And then you can also add the data that you do want to add for that time that might not be every day, and it's more manual. So for example, if you weigh yourself on a scale, you could put that and then Garmin will track that for you throughout however many times. Same thing with activity, how much you drink, and then your overall blood pressure. So that is overall the entire thing for the My Day tab. All right, so next up, we got the Newsfeed app. So this is basically just a section where it shows all your recent activities from you and any connections that you have on Garmin, which you can make friends on Garmin, by the way. And it's basically like Strava in a nutshell. If you ever use Strava, this is very similar to that. It's kind of like that. And you'll be able to look at different parts of your activities. For me, for example, I mainly been doing a lot of strength training, and then you can click in it to get more of your data. So if I click on strength, it will tell me all the things I've worked on. And this is really dependent on the exercise you do. And you can get in certain metrics. This is the most common board that you'll probably see for a lot of your metrics, I would say. It's just very helpful at the end of the day of what you're getting out of your activities if you really want to find a certain thing. And this is very helpful in running because if I want to, let's say, filter out my runs, I can click on the filter on the top right, and then I can go to activity type, and then I could choose anything that I personally want. Like I said, find that previous run, super helpful in wherever you need to find this at. You can also filter it by people, so you could do only me or my connections. And normally, like, I don't, have a lot of other people that use Garmin personally, so I haven't really been using this part as much. But yeah, that's basically the general part of the newsfeed. All right, now for the newsfeed, there is also going to be the health stats. And just to let you know, if these look a little bit out of order, that is because that you could personalize it to however you want to see these stats and metrics. And I'll show that later in the video on how to actually edit that. So you could find exactly what you want based off of your needs. So now we got the health stats. And for the health stats, we have a lot of the stuff that's the same as the dashboard. And you're going to see, for example, like your sleep, your calories, the pulse ox, respiration, all the different things. And then the stuff you manually put in, this is where you can see that. So you could see, for example, the average of your weight, and then you could see how it fluctuates. And then for me, this is throughout the past year. And then it'll also tell you stuff like your BMI. Personally, I don't really go by BMI as much. I go more by, so just like my body fat percentage or my waist to height ratio. These are all different other tactics that you can do to measure your weight effectively, see if you're actually fat or not. But that's all in your journey, no judgment. And then you could also have other parts such as like your fitness age. And fitness age, I personally think is interesting from Garmin because Garmin takes up all the data that you've had, such as stress levels, activity levels, your health, such as like your weight, no kidding. And then after that, it will put it into a overall dashboard of, okay, this is what we think your age is over time. And as you can see, for me, it's been about 18 and I'm 21 now. So that I would say is not that bad for a difference in age. If I was like, if it said 12, I'd be a little concerned. That is overall the general stuff on the health stats app. And then also last thing is you can connect this to MyFitnessPal if you really wanted to for tracking your calories. But I personally don't recommend this because for me personally, I don't like MyFitnessPal. You might like MyFitnessPal. It's helped you. Good for you. You can connect if you want, but that's really up to you. So that is all there is to it for the health stats app. All right, so now moving on to the fourth part of Strava, we now have the performance stats. So the performance stats are pretty interesting if you mainly do running, which I hope you do as you've made it this far. And there are going to be different stats for each part on your run. So, and then also just in general for certain things, if you're not a runner, it's still okay. So we got training status, and this is where it goes back to the homepage where it talks about the VO2 max, your load, the stats. Then there's HRV status, which shows you past 7 days, 4 weeks. It'll just have a bunch of different parts. Then this is the part which I personally like, is the race predictor. And this thing gets very addicting over time. Like, you have no idea on this, because you want to see yourself improve as you continue to run. But because of my injury, as you could tell, it's gone down like a little bit. I was way faster, but now I'm in a sense literally crippled, so I can't actually do anything. But it'll allow you to say, like, okay, here is your prediction for your 5K, your 10K, your half, and your marathon. And then you can also filter out, okay, what if I only want to look at the 5K, and then there's your 5K. That's basically all this really has for the filters. So moving on, you now have the training effect. So this is what Garmin thinks how well you're doing throughout your runs overall, or your training load. So it will say, like, as kind of before, oh, you're being productive. This is your recovery phase. There's a lot of different parts on this. So it's very helpful to have, but as you can tell, it's gone downhill for the past 4 weeks for me because of my injury, but that's okay. Anyway, so moving on, then there are certain things specifically for cyclists. There is cycling power. If you guys want to take a look at that, if you're a cyclist, so it'll tell you your overall power based off, let's say you're using a watch. Sometimes if you have a chest strap, it'll also give you accurate data. And also one thing to mention as well is that if you use something like a chest strap often and during your workouts, it's going to sync with your watch. So you can actually use the watch and the chest strap together, and it will give you the most accurate data. The heart rate monitor on your chest will take precedence for that. So that's basically what you got right there. And then you also have functional threshold power. So this is tied to things such as like cycling and skiing. And then it will give you all these other metrics right here. So, and as you know, they always got the graph of the times. And then after that, they have critical swim speed. So if you're a swimmer, this is a part that would really affect you, of how fast you could swim without exhaustion. So that is important if you really care about that. Then there's lactate threshold, which personally, I have not really used this a lot, but except it just gives you an understanding of how hard you can reach without actually getting gassed at the end of your runs. So it's able to help you get a decent measurement throughout the time. All right, so next up we have the calendar section. And the calendar section is, I would say, relatively important if you are curious about your previous workouts. So let's say on here, if I want to see the previous times I ran, I can go way back to, like, let's say October or September and find a specific part for my runs, or for me, if I want to go rock climbing or do strength training or even walking, just basic stuff. And I can also filter the calendar based off everything that I've done. So I can get rid of like HRV, blood pressure, move IQ events, and then I can filter that out if I really wanted to, but I'm going to keep it all for the sake of this. And then if you click on one, it will be able to tell me, okay, this is your body battery of the day, the sleep score, the heart rate. So everything that you saw on the My Day page, it will revert back to here. So you end up saving it. And then you can also turn it vertically if you want. So you can just see it horizontally and make it better. So you can add movement if you really want to, and then it'll give you just a general insight of that day if you really wanted to. And then you can also add workouts on it as well if you really want. So in case if you forgot anything. And then on top of that, you can also see specifically, as I mentioned, for the workout. So if you want to see how long that you run or how long that you did any other workout, it's able to be right there easily for you. So it's kind of like Strava, where it has the training log, but I personally like this more because Garmin is able to sync all of these things together, unlike Strava. So that is personally why I like using the calendar app. All right, next up, we got challenges. So on challenges here, this is where you can, and it's pretty self-explanatory, you can look at all the challenges that you really want to join. I personally have not really done any of these because I'm not that much of a challenge person, but you're able to just look at certain times or distances that you're able to run, and then you can also join this with friends if you really want to. And then there's also expeditions. You can create your own challenge. You can have a weekly leaderboard of certain things that you do if you decide to friend people and compete with them. And then there's weekly steps challenge, so you can go more in depth and you can have a competition with some people if you really want to do that. Then there is also past challenges that you've really committed to, and as you see, I've done none because this is not really a section I care too much about. But if you're really into challenges, like if you go on something like Strava and you really want to commit to those, this is also another decent place to do that. And I've heard that it's honestly mixed reviews on challenges on Garmin, but then again, that is up to other people to decide, not me. I'm just the messenger here. All right, now that we finished up the calendar and challenges section, we're gonna go into activities. So activities is similar to what you've seen of the other tabs where it just tells you the general outline of what you've done. But on this, it literally shows you all your activities of what you've done to a larger extent. So on here, you could choose, let's say on something like walking, it will give you all the metrics based off that time, the total amount, and you can check all the way up to a year. So if you, like I said, Garmin tracks everything in terms of data. So if you really want to watch, give you everything, this is what it will do. And by the way, the one I have is not even the most advanced one. But on here, we got other ones such as swimming, running, cycling, multi-sports, and these all tie into the activities within your Garmin. So if I choose to walk, it will tie to that, or multi-sport or cycling, whatever you are really doing on that day. So then if I go to all activities, it will show literally all my activities. So this is, I would say, a faster way to get to maybe to some of your workouts if you really want to see just a whole log. There's many ways to find one thing on Garmin, which is helpful or confusing if you have not watched this video, but I would say it's helpful. Then you can also create a manual activity if you either don't know what to put or Garmin can't read it, or you just want to edit something. So you can manually put in the activity that you did, and then you can start editing it more and more. And that, yeah, that's one spot that you can have there. And then you just save it. Then after that, they got spots for steps for your daily goal. They got floors. They got the intensity minutes. This is all just the stuff that it's just packaged differently on here. Then they also have the golf, Garmin Golf, which is a specific niche that they have, and it's actually a different app. I don't use that app, but if you guys really are committed to golf, then I could make a video about that if you wanted to. So yeah, this is all there basically is to activities. Now that we finished activities, we're gonna go to the training and planning section. So on here, it looks like there's not a lot, but there really is a lot on this part. So on this is where if you have specific workouts that Garmin either doesn't suggest to you or you do ones that are very common, you can actually find or create workouts on here. So start off, you go to find a workout, you can actually do a bunch of different exercises. So as you see, most of this like full body or for dumbbells. And then you can also choose the activity that you want. So right now it's just showing all, but you can choose cardio, strength, HIIT. So if I click cardio and then apply, it will then change everything specifically for this. And if you don't like any of these and you're like, wow, these are trash, all you could do is that you can go to create a workout. So I already made a workout page called Run Workout. So all I need to do is just click on this, and on the top right, I'll click that send to device button, and then I'll send it to my Fenix 6, which is on my wrist right now. It's not connecting because this is not on Bluetooth right now at the time of this video, but I'll send it to the Fenix 6 Pro Solar, and then it will go into my workouts, which I can then toy with my Garmin. And then after that, you can also go to benchmark exercises for your strength, because when you do strength sessions, Garmin will actually track those specific exercises that you at least give it. So it will try to automatically do it, but if it can't, then you would be able to just do it manually after the fact. So that's how you're able to get that. After that, you can also go to training plans, And if you are a new runner, this is, I would say, personally helpful. I use Strava's training plans, but except on Garmin, they also have decent training plans too for a 5K, 10K, an half marathon. I wish they had a marathon for this, but honestly, that could be pretty subjective because most marathons, it really depends on the weather and where you live and availability and time. So there's a lot of different factors on that. These are smaller, so it's a little more manageable. But then again, that's up to Garmin. Garmin, please make that. That is very important. I would love that. Then they also have the same thing for cycling. So they have different parts based off your skill level and what they recommend. So after that, they also have race and events. So on here, I can see my upcoming events that I want to participate in. And for example, I want to go in the LA Marathon, and right now it will be loading and it will say, okay, so here's the start time. And they are able to get this from very popular races or from what people put in. So that, I would say, is super useful if you want to, just sign up for a particular race that you're pretty much interested in. And that is definitely important, I would say. And then they also have like training. They basically just give you a certain goal and then they'll tell you a specific pace to go at. So if I then go to my Pace Pro strategies right here, I can go to copy the LA Marathon, and that's the same one that it just showed. This will show my distance that I need to run, the goal time, and then there's that goal pace. And then after this, I could choose the pacing strategy. So it could be positive, which means you're going fast in the beginning, but over time you're going a little bit slower. Or I can go slower in the beginning and then faster later. So that is what the pacing strategy would be. So I generally would try to go as a neutral or a negative. That's just my opinion for when I want to run and races, but everyone has their own thing. And then you can choose to go harder up the hills or lower on the hills. So these all are very relevant, practical things you can use when you're prepping for your races. So when I'm doing something like a Spartan race, it might not be able to record it here, but I can manually create that and then it can assist me on that particular event. And then it'll also give you specific things such as your split times and then also the distance per time, because this is a per mile basis. And then it'll give you the overall time and when you expect to be done on this. And then once you're done, you can actually update this if you wanted to. So if you make any changes, you just update it. And then after that, you're done. So that's for Pace Pro. But going back in order for the racing events, you can choose to add an event on here. And there are tons of different filters and locations. So you could do something within 50 miles of you. You can just also decide to do it within a certain date. And you can also take these off by hitting that X, or you can just go here to the filter on the top right, and then you could change everything that you want. So you change the dates, change the duration, change the distance from you, participation. There's a bunch of different factors on this. And then you can also choose specific event types if you want to do, let's say, only running. And then that will be able to pop up on here if you really want to check that out. So that is the basic part of race event. And then you can also create your own event. So there is that too, of going into each individual part. And then on here, they got courses. So on here, they'll have tons of different courses on here where you can filter out, okay, this is something that I focused on a lot, and then I want to save it and then go on my run again so Garmin can recognize what I'm doing. So if you really want that, helpful as well. Then there's also segments which connect to Strava if you really want to. I personally don't do this because I'm not really using Strava as much anymore, so there's not really a benefit for me having this, but that's just there in case if you want. So aside from that, that's basically all of the training and planning section right there. All right, so now that we're done with the training and planning, next up is gear. And gear is very helpful if you really want to start tracking all of your gear, that is, but like in Strava, for example, if you've ever used that app before. But on here, for example, as you guys see, I have my Saucony shoes right here. The mileage is pretty low because I took off the automatic running, but I'll get into that in a second. But you also have stuff like bicycles, and then you also have other types of gear. So for example, if you want to do kayaking and you want to put like your kayak on, this is where you could possibly put it if you really want to. Then after that, there's retired gear. So it basically means that, okay, this is how long the gear went. So for example, if you ran 500 miles in your shoes, you can put retire here, and then it'll say, hey, this is the total amount of time that you've had with this shoe until you're done. But I haven't had that yet personally. So on here, for example, if I want to add something, I go to gear type. So I could choose between shoes, bike, and other. And then after, I could choose the brand and model. So I'm going to type in Saucony as an example. So Saucony, there we go. Then it'll show there and it stays there. Then I enter the nickname. So I either do this as a specific model. So for example, Saucony has other models, such as like the Tempest, the Triumph, the Guide, the Ride. There's many different types of shoes that one company can have. So I recommend putting either the nickname of the actual model or just what you put. So for example, like daily trainers or something like that. So that you can have a recommendation for. Then you could use first use. So you could put it to whatever date that you had and say like, okay, maybe it was like in July of 2020. Especially if these were old shoes long ago and you really want to keep that data, you could put that in there. And then after that, you could put max distance. So you can put maximum, which is this number right here, or you can go as small as like 300 or like 3,000. And then after that, Garmin will notify you saying, hey, you've worn these shoes for this long. And then you can choose to automatically add it to certain things. So I can add it to running or walking or swimming if I really wanted to. After this, you could choose to add the existing activities on each part. So if you really want that to keep all that data within it, then yeah, you can do that. But I personally wouldn't, because this is a fake shoe. So I'm not gonna have that. But for this, that's all there is to the gear tab. Next up is Insights, and Insights is one of those pieces of information that really make you competitive in Garmin, because it'll compare everyone within your age group and within your gender to see how good you are compared to everyone else using Garmin. So on this, for example, it says I run percentage farther than other users, and you can also change that to other things. So I can change it for the pace, and then I'll reset the graph, and I could do this for all the other ones as well. And then after this, it could be current, and then I could choose between certain months. So I'm like, okay, I want to do it within November, or what about maybe October? After that, it will adjust accordingly to the date that you give it. So I'm going to put it back on current. And then here you also have like sleep, then you got floors, lap swimming, steps, open water swimming, cycling. The list just goes on and on. But on this, as you see on the bottom two, open water swimming and cycling don't have a green dot to it compared to, let's say, like steps. So the reason why is because I have never done these activities on, at least with the Garmin before. So the Garmin doesn't have anything to work off of. So that's why it's not gonna show me anything, which it's being honest. So be honest with yourself. Now speeding up to the orange section right here, we got connections, groups, contacts, and safety tracking. Connections is what you expect it to be like on a social app. So you can find your friends via contacts, and you can allow Garmin to connect to contacts to see who has a Garmin. You can go on Google if you want to connect to your Google account, and then they'll have suggested, but right now there's no suggestions for me. And then you can also search on the connections to see like, all right, this is who I want to find specifically. And then on invite friends, you can click on that and it invites the people if you really want them to join. But remember, they have to have a Garmin for this to actually work. But then you also got groups, so you could search groups, and this could be within your local area or just anywhere online. So there's that. Contacts, what I just said, there's within the phone, and then there's also connect contacts, and there's that. And then there's safety and tracking. They have a feature called Live Track. And on Live Track, this is where, let's say if you're going on a run, this is very similar to Strava, where if you go on a run and then you want other people to find you, you can actually start sharing this with other people. So that is how the Live Track will start working. And then they also have safety features on here. So you can begin to set this up, as I said, to notify where other people know where you are. So if you want to have that, that's helpful. And yeah, that's basically it. After this, you got a bunch of different sections at the bottom under here. You can download golf courses in a local spot. There's Garmin Golf. I personally never used this before because I don't golf, but if you're a Garmin golfer, then maybe you could find other videos on this. There's also Garmin Dive, same thing, haven't used it before. But there's also the Garmin IQ store. This is actually where it's a separate app, and you could download this for unique watch faces and certain apps that Garmin has on their phone. It's kind of like, like how for an iPhone there is the Apple store. This is like the Garmin store, you could say. so where it can connect to everything. And then on top of that, they got Garmin Pay, like how you have with Apple Pay or Google Pay. You could just connect your card to your Garmin watch, so it could scan on one of those wireless tracking pieces where you just scan it and then you magically pay. So there's that too. And then it also shows your Garmin devices, your sensors, and other things. And this is where you can also add a device too, in case if you actually want to have that. And then there's other spots as well, such as your settings. So this is the basic stuff you'll see. You'll see, you know, the theme that you want. You'll see like your profile of what you have. And then you can also edit things such as gender, height, weight, if you want to show that. Yeah, there's just a bunch of different parts on here. So this is the basic things that you'll probably get with any other app on Apple or Android. One thing to mention is at the end for here, if you don't want to have the default order, what you could do is that you can go on edit and then you'll see the My Day, and you can't change the My Day. The My Day will always be there. And you need to also at least have 4 different parts of Garmin on here. So I can remove the news feed, and I can remove the health tab and stats, and I can put anything else I want. So I could decide to, in this case for me, I want to keep the health stats, and after that I want performance, and then I want something like a calendar. So I save that, and then now if you look at the bottom, it will have all these different parts on here: My Day, health, performance, and calendar. And the more will always be there too, because you can't get rid of that. This is how it all stays together. But now I could see the calendar, I could see the performance, and then I could see the health in the way how I want it. And you can also reorder them. So if I go back, I can choose to edit calendar as the front, I save it, and now as you see, calendar is the second one. So that is very helpful if you want to personalize it to what you specifically want. So that is everything regarding the Garmin Connect app. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you stay tuned and subscribe for the next video regarding another app called Macro Factor that I've been using for a couple of months. And it's definitely helped me with in terms of weight loss. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time. All right, take care, guys.